Welcome everybody to Unicorn Adventures, where fun creative professionals take a break from business and play my role-playing game. We're gonna have a whole lot of fun. I have my dragon mug as appropriate for this, and there's plenty of purple all around. Today we have Kara and Shannon playing, and before we dive on into the episode and all the fun, crazy shenanigans I have planned for them, I'm going to have them introduce themselves so you get to know who in the world is playing. Kara, would you like to go first?
Absolutely. Hi, Kara Jean, taking Kara business. I'm an executive coach. I think I'm hilarious, and I'm ridiculously excited to play today.
Appropriate. Shannon, tell us a little about you.
I am Shannon Regan of Windwolf Puppets. I have been doing puppets my whole entire life, and also work in nonprofits and all that kind of stuff, and have quite a fascinating life, and I'm excited to get to know more people.
I love it. Beautiful. So if you guys cannot tell, both of these individuals are going to be in for a treat as we're going to get into it. We're going to start something a little bit different. So the last two episodes, if anybody has been following and watching, we started off as our two characters sort of did not know each other. We had one character starting out somewhere, and then along their path, they happened to come upon the second. In this case, I will say that both of you have actually met, so we don't have to have another awkward encounter handled by different ways in previous episodes. If you want to see that, go watch the other episodes, what they did. But in this case, the two of you have become friends. The entirety of your friendship is entirely up to you of what kind of pranking friends or what kind of friends you really want to be in that regard. But I think before we dive into what you two are seeking, it might be helpful for you to describe your characters. As before, Kara, would you like to go first and describe your character?
Yeah, absolutely. So my character is Grunhilda, who is an Icelandic troll. Icelandic trolls are known for being huge, but also incredibly gentle. The bad name that they get is from when the human settlers came and were shook by the face like that and the giant size, and the relationship didn't go very well. But in real life, Grunhilda is a dream weaver. So what she does is she takes the stories of your past and weaves them into dreams so you can see where you are headed, because trolls sleep a lot. That is why people unfortunately believe they turn to stone in the daylight. That's not true. They just close their eyes to hide from the sunshine and pass out because they stood still long enough.
Very interesting. Shannon, would you like to tell us about your character?
My character is Wolf, one of those mysterious storytellers that comes into towns and tells amazing stories, but has a tendency to end up on adventures and have some uncanny abilities that they aren't expecting, that they hide until their least expected moment. And suddenly they're like, well, why didn't you tell us you could do that before? But, storytellers write the story.
Beautiful. So we basically have a giant that is hard to miss, and a small, well, not relatively to the giant, small creature with giant potential that is hidden until the very last moment. And the interesting thing about both of you is that you are both in this way truth seekers, and you have found that both of you are needed, that it is a two-person job to find some sort of amount of clarity that a previous wizard of some sort has left in a rather deep vault. You have traveled out to the forest where you believe that this is going to be the case. You have all necessary supplies that you can imagine. If you forget that you have something, we can say that you got it at the village. If you decide that you want it within reason, for example, if you say, no, I wanted a horse and cart, you don't have a horse and cart at this point, you're off the road. You're now standing right at the edge of the road where you know you need to go into the forest. The trees are very, very high and very, very tall, even for Grunhilda at this point. It's not as if looking over the trees. These are giant, almost redwood sized trees and pines that you're looking at. And you know that somewhere far ahead lies the cave, entrance, castle, dungeon, no idea, some kind of a place where some of what you are seeking lies. What would you like to do?
I want to grab all of this stuff and start walking into the forest.
Okay. In your case, being how tall would you say Grunhilda is?
Probably 12 to 14 feet, somewhere in there. You know, she's little compared to everyone else.
Yes, little compared to everyone else. All right. I will say in this case, I'm not even going to necessarily pull a card to see if you're able to make it into the forest. I think you do start walking into the forest, though you're having to go a little bit slower because given how tall you are, the branches are hitting you a little bit more. And that. So you're kind of using one arm to sort of get the branches out of your way. You are starting to make your way very loudly with a lot of crackling into the forest as the branches break. Wolf, do you want to stay back? Are you going to follow Grunhilda?
Well, I pretty much ask her, do you think we need to sneak around to whatever's ahead of us?
Oh, I don't think I can sneak, Wolf. I don't think that's an option for me. I love the idea. Can you figure out a way I could sneak? I'd love to sneak.
So are you kind of like you've walked through like several trees and kind of broken some branches and went, oh, do I need a sneak now? You've already made some noise.
Well, could you crawl? Maybe.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if I can carry all of our stuff if I crawl, Wolf.
Well, you have a back. I'll lead with my tracker skills, and I'll find us a way around so that whatever's there can't ambush us, and we can figure it out cautiously.
Okay. So you're looking to try to find kind of a stealthy, safe passage through these woods that doesn't really disturb too much of the wild growth and everything, but gets you to your destination. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't know what's ahead, so is it our destination or is it just the way we're headed?
That's fair. And to that, we will have the first card pull of the evening to see how successful you are at finding that path. Because yes, you have those skills, but who knows? And you got an ace, which is the highest card you can pull for it. So you are incredibly successful with that specific thing. You are so successful, in fact, that you're able to even find the path for Grunhilda. Because sometimes as you walk through certain trees, even the branches, some of the lower ones, there's a little bit more space. So you're able to find not only room for yourself, but also for Grunhilda, for you to make your way all the way through. You're making your way through the forest. Do you want to be looking out for anything? You know that you might be looking for some kind of an entrance, and from what you understand, it is probably further on the way in. You know that you're relatively stealthy. Nothing is probably going to notice you, but maybe you want to try to notice something.
Anything out of sorts, out of the norm of what the rest of the forest seems to have. Definitely anything that just has a scent or a smell that differs, a shift in any of that, as well as possible temperature shifts, which can indicate something in the area. So
very good. That's another card pull because you're trying to be observant and see what you see, and you got a queen. Well, you guys are starting out strong. These are really good cards. So you notice, and it's nice that you mentioned kind of the temperature, the breeze a little bit. You're noticing that everything is quiet, but you're starting to notice a scent, a smell. With your tracking, you know that it smells the way that you always smell mushrooms, especially in a forest after a rain, where you know it is mushroom season, and it's got that very, very particular smell. But there's almost a hint of something toxic possibly about it, something that will not be that great for you in this case. It is, I will say, given that this is kind of new for you, the things that I tell you and that you find out, it is always your choice whether or not you want to tell your companion. Certain things you may keep from them, certain things you go, no, I will absolutely communicate all of that to them, and then they know. But at this point, only you can tell necessarily that scent of mushroom.
I'm currently really excited to be sneaking and quietly trying to sing a sneaky song to myself as I sneak through the forest behind me.
Can we get a
I
small
quickly-
rendition of it, or of? I like it. And as the head moves side to side, the hair kind of brushes the floor, and there's just gentle rustling of leaves as the hair of Grunhild's hair brushes on the floor with it. It's perfect because Shannon is basically in the woods where you guys are sneaking, as you can see by the background. It's fantastic. With that. All right. So as you're sneaking, Grunhilda, you start smelling something delicious. You start smelling something very, very inviting. And it is kind of off to your right.
I share that information. Wolf, I think I'm hungry. Do you smell that? That smells good.
Wolf, you do not smell anything good. You are still just mainly picking up the smell of those mushrooms that you can tell are probably not great.
So I quickly tell you that it doesn't smell good. This could be some kind of magic. It could be something that is trying to trick us and is more successful with you. So we should still remain cautious. Does your species have some special affinity to mushrooms?
Yes, I love mushrooms. I eat all of the mushrooms. It does smell like mushrooms.
Does it ever tell you when they're poisonous? And do you ever have anything that indicates the safety of the mushroom? Or is your species
Poisonous?
immune?
I mean, there's so little. How much poison would have to be in it for it to be a problem?
I don't know.
you
Mushrooms
don't
are
know.
actually aliens, so you never know. So
I
we
want to eat the
definitely should figure it out, and you're not to eat anything. Please don't eat anything until we know what we've got.
Grunhilda, would you like to go look at the mushrooms?
I would like to go look at them. Yes.
All right. We will say still sneaking, still
But I promise not
learning
to eat them
something
until
from Wolf.
Wolf
You start going towards the mushroom, and you come across, Wolf, it is up to you whether or not you want to follow Grunhilda. About
Yes, I'm
100
following.
150 feet over to the right, you come to almost like a grove of mushrooms. And this seemingly not mushrooms you've seen before. You're used to small, relatively small mushrooms. Some of these mushrooms are easily 3-4 feet in height, with their caps
Wow.
being almost the same in diameter of these giant mushrooms. And the closer you get, the more and more of the smell that you get. And you, Wolf, more and more get this feeling of something is not right. Yeah, Grunhilda, at this point, you see these mushrooms. You're gonna take in a big whiff. As you take in that, we're gonna pull a card to see whether or not you get intoxicated by what you're smelling.
I promise I won't
Don't
eat
eat
them.
them. Don't eat them. Don't eat them.
So in this case, what the card flip is the higher the card flip, the more likely you are to withstand.
Break that
It's
rule. Oh.
The lower, that means you are not going to be able to control yourself. And in this case, I will say we'll split it right at an 8. If you get an 8 or above, you're going to be good. Otherwise, no. So there you go. It is a 7. So immediately you lunge for the nearest bigger of the mushrooms, and attempt to bite it. As you attempt to bite it, the mushroom jumps away from you. and with a strange hand smacks you on the nose as it snarls at you, which is very alarming to you because you have never seen a snarling mushroom.
I sit down and fall backwards slightly.
Okay. As you look around, you notice that 3 of the other bigger mushrooms also pop up and turn around and start looking at you. They all seem to have some remnants of humanoid aspects, meaning they all now have some arms. As the mushrooms, they seem to not have legs. They seem to be kind of walking on, like gliding on their little roots, if you would.
So they are mobile.
They are mobile.
Okay.
Yes, and they are seemingly unhappy that you have disturbed them and potentially tried to eat them.
I apologize.
I hold
Sorry,
out
I
my
Mm-hmm.
jumped in.
staff
Yes.
in a guarding but not aggressive way, and I try to speak to them and apologize and say, "We mean you no harm. We've just traveled long and we're hungry and did not know that you were not what we were used to finding." I don't know
You
if they
say this?
understand me though.
They just stare at you.
Yeah, I
They're
say this.
they don't they seemingly all of a sudden are unsure. They're a little bit upset that they were possibly trying to be eaten, and now they understand they don't understand a word that's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use body language and do the my bad.
All right.
bad.
We're gonna pull a card from a performance check. At this point, again, I will say 8 or above. You did great. Otherwise, you'll see what happens. Wonderful. You did an 8. It is hard for them to understand it, but barely. They seem to let their guard down a little bit. They're not happy. They're not necessarily friendly, but they're not entirely hostile to you. They're just kind of you've basically just wandered into somebody's home and
Tried to eat them.
tried to
Said my
bite them.
bad.
At this point, they're going, okay, can you please leave? They're looking around. They're not sure what it is that you need.
Okay. How big is this group of this species?
So it's about maybe like a 40, 50 foot circle radius of these various mushrooms. All the other ones are much smaller. They don't seem to be, maybe a couple are just ever gently so wiggling. Some of the medium-sized ones, smaller ones look exactly like normal mushrooms. You see just these 4 at this very moment, unless you kind of want to look further around, but that's all that you saw at that time.
So I want to gesture and indicate, as I'm telling Grunhilda, that we need to steer around them, maybe see what's there, since communicating with them is difficult, and see if they get aggressive if we try to go around them to proceed along our way.
I will tell you, given the ace that you pulled for figuring out and the tracking skills, you know this is not in the way of you have gone off of your path because Grunhilda went chasing mushrooms. You know that you don't even need to go through or around them, like that your path lies in a completely different direction. So just so you're aware of that. You can still try to go around them, but just so you know.
I had trouble hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm moving closer and closer to the source of the internet.
There you go. So, because you had that ace at the beginning, you know that the path, you don't have to go through or around the mushrooms. Grunhilda just kind of went completely off the path where you were supposed to go. And you know that actually like you need to go back and there's a whole different direction you need to go. You can still go past the mushrooms. You can explore this forest. It is entirely your choice. But you know from that ace, you don't really need to go there.
So, Grunhilda, do we really need to explore further, and or should we proceed and try and find a place where we can get you real food?
I like that one. Sorry, Wolf. I got distracted. Yeah, I'll follow you again. My bad. Let's sneak some
Okay,
more.
so we go back to
One
the
of
trail.
the as you're about to leave, one of the mushrooms kind of comes up to you and gives you Grunhilde in your hand, puts kind of a little pile of mulch and dirt, because from its understanding you're hungry, so it's trying to offer you what it considers to be food. So for your parting ways as a snack.
I do some more body language with the thank you. I don't know what it gave me, but I know it gave me something, and I'm super excited that I got a little gift. And so I put it in my pocket.
There you go. All right, you all continue. Relatively, everything works well. You check around back. It doesn't seem that the mushrooms are following you in any way, shape, or form. It seems that after you stopped trying to eat them, they felt relatively all right with everything that was going on. You're making your way, and things are becoming a little bit more clustered. The trees are growing a lot closer together, and things are becoming darker and darker. Are you going to try for any kind of a light source, or there's still a little bit of light that is kind of shining through, but it is really becoming far, far darker and harder for you to see?
Does my staff with the wolf have eyes that light up?
It absolutely can. I think it should. So how does that work? Is it kind of like a flashlight where wherever the eyes point, it's a beam of light? Or they kind of everything sort of lights up as a general aura, like just a lamp or a lantern?
It would be the path ahead of you in the direction of the eyes, in the way eyes work, going outward.
Gotcha. Kind of like a not nefarious Jafar staff.
Yes.
Kind of deal. Yes. Very cool. I like it.
So I double tap the staff on the ground and the light comes on, or does it? Yeah, is that something I decide or you do?
No, I think with that's pretty simple. That's something you've done so many times before. I'm not even going to pull a card for it because that's easy for you to do. Okay. You go and the light immediately comes. I want a staff like that now. That's really cool. And so this beam of light that you are all able to see. And I'm going to roll 2 cards for you. The first one is going to be from Grunhilde, and the second one is going to be for Wolf, to see if you notice something as the light comes on. That is amazing. 2 queens. That's incredible.
Yes, we are.
Both of you notice something. I just run off of the path where you're about to going, off into the woods, away from the light source, and just scatter away. Because you, Wolf, are very much aware of how things in the woods go, you can tell that whatever this was didn't run off into the distance. It ran out of your line of sight and away from the light, but it is probably still nearby because you didn't hear it kind of further running away.
And
I
you said
offer
it
to
was
follow
opposite?
it because I like the dark.
And do you have better vision?
Yes, I'm subterranean, so that absolutely. As soon as you turn on the light, I went, oh God. Not that I don't know that you do that, Wolf, but every time. Warning would be good.
So don't go far, but see if you can get any hint. Keep your nose open. So if it's a smell, and I will try to follow behind with my light dimmed.
So I move really slow and follow her instructions and communicate as I go.
Okay. So you two would like to just continue on exactly where you've been heading this whole time, yes?
No, I'm following the little skritter.
Oh, you want to look for them?
I'm going to go look in the dark because her bright light's kind of irritating.
Okay.
And something moved. So I'm going to follow
hit
that.
the top of the wolf head and it dims so that it's more of a subtle glow.
It's like a one eye on kind of a deal.
Dimmer switch.
Dimmer switch. Okay. All right. Let's see what happens. You got a jack as you're looking out there. You're able to suss out that there's some sort of a creature ran just several trees away and is hiding behind a tree. At this point, I'll say you can kind of see possibly an outline. There might be an appendage, like an arm or like something, and some kind of a smell. It is a smell you're not very used to, but it is a smell you very much enjoy. It almost smells like flowers and perfumes.
I communicate all of that to Wolf.
All right. Are you communicating that quietly in a whisper, or are you just outright saying it?
No, I'm quietly in a whisper and sort of a little storyteller hand gestures so that it's double quiet, but she gets it.
Okay, great.
So I walk around her, and so this thing is hiding, correct?
It seems like it. Yeah, to Grunhilde, that's what it
And
seems
I
like.
call out gently and say, "Hello, we mean you no harm. Are you in distress? Do you need any help?"
So, because Wolf cannot actually see this creature, Grunhilde notices that there's almost like a shudder. There's a very slight movement. It is not a full-on, I'm now going to hide, run away movement, but almost a shudder and silence. No response.
I communicate that and try and get small myself.
So I turn the light on the staff up a little and see if I can see what's going on.
Do you want to point it in the direction? Because right now it was on the path. Are you now going to point it at the
Yeah,
direction
I'm
of
going
the
to
tree?
put it on the direction.
You point it in the direction of the tree, and all that you see there is like a half-broken branch that kind of looks like possibly an arm, a bent arm, elbow, something. For all intents and purposes, tree.
Tree or a green man or some other tree creature?
Tree.
Just a tree.
I'll pull a card to see what you see. You got a 5. Tree.
So it's a tree. Okay.
Tree with a branch.
Well,
There's a tree.
perhaps we should just return to the trail and leave whatever it is alone. What do you think, Grunhilde?
Okay, I agree with that. But while I agree with her and continue to follow her, I continue to look back and kind of do because I like to bring friends.
Okay. So you even when you look back, you it's kind of strange. You definitely also don't see, it doesn't look the same way. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. And you're still that scent, that faint, now much fainter scent, kind of something floral, is still is following. And it actually seems to, as you're going down the trail, you're smelling it as if it's following the trail, not following you, but following where you're going. And as you go further and further, the staff, of course, lighting the way, you come to what seems to be a very large pile of rocks.
Blocking the road or near the road?
At the end of the road. It seems that if there is some kind of a path, which there really isn't a path, it's just because you had the best card you could have pulled for the tracking, you can tell that maybe this has been traversed a few times by a few humans. This is not a normal path through the woods.
Oh, okay. So it's largely animals use it kind of thing.
Maybe, or just the possibly the wizard that you're finding, or maybe any of the apprentices, anything like that. But it's yes, yeah. Very few have ever really used this path.
So Grunhilde, in your lovely height, can you see over it, over the pile of rocks?
Well, so I would check for observation because rocks and caves and such are sort of in my bag. So I want to see what I can see.
Okay, so you observe the pile of rocks, and that is a 3. Pile of rocks.
It's a pile of rocks. That's what I see. Well, it's a pile of rocks. Doesn't smell different. Looks like a pile of rocks. Think it's
a pile of rocks.
And there's nothing beyond it.
And just to clarify, even if you pulled an ace, and I'm not saying this to like give you hints, but even if you pulled an ace, it could have also just been a pile of rocks. But at this point, from everything that you got, pile of rocks.
Well, What should we do next? It's getting dark. We want food. I'm not eating mulch. Kind as that was.
Fair. Well, they're kind of like, it's the end of our road. Do you want me to move them out of our way, Wolf? I can just move the rocks. They're just rocks.
Sure. It'll
I
keep
start
you
moving
warm at
rocks.
least.
Out of the way.
Okay. Is that thing still following us? Or is it following us? Or is it still there or gone?
Okay, so Grunhilda, are you going to be making a strength kind of check to move the rocks, and then do you want to try to do an observation to see if the thing is following you?
Strength roll, yes. I didn't tell Wolf that I was trying to bring my friend along with the flower smell. So I'm gonna look at her like, what are you talking about? But I can move the rocks.
Okay, move the rocks.
All right, let's see how the rocks go. So you go in to try to push some of the rocks and immediately get your finger caught in one of them and immediately jammed. You pulled a 2. So you're not able to move the rocks, but interestingly enough, actually, when you try to move the rocks, not even the small ones budge.
These
So
are
it's
not normal rocks. And it bit me.
It's just, yeah, it's very odd to you because you would have expected that, of course, maybe you couldn't move the really big boulder part of it, but some of the tiny ones surely would have moved. Nothing moved.
I share this with Wolf. Wolf, they're not real. They're not normal rocks. They're not moving.
Do you see could there be something under it? Do you see any indication of that?
I look.
Or smell anything or feel any air?
All right, let's.
Light perception. How is my perception in this?
Beautiful. Bring you to one of my favorite cards in this game, Joker. As a reminder, the Joker means that I get to pick something chaotic happens. Could be something good, could be something bad, something interesting, crazy happens. As you start looking around and sniffing and smelling, all of a sudden, the rocks do a little shudder. And a couple of them roll down, a couple of them roll up, and all of a sudden they start rolling and forming, and in front of you, you see as the rocks form together into a hulking rock golem that is standing up and staring down, yes, even down at you, Grunhilda, as he towers over the two of you. We're talking about 18 feet tall.
Well,
Yeah.
hi.
I back up a lot.
I'm not that smart. I just look at him. Oh, well, hi.
Well, they're only slightly taller than you.
That's legit.
The
Having
golem is
recently
looking
made a
at you.
20-foot
There's
tall
no
dragon
words,
puppet.
and seemingly just standing there. You do notice that where it got up from, there seems to be some sort of a hole entrance down further. It was on top of something. But at this point, you're a little bit distracted by an 18-foot tall rock golem that is, for lack of a better word, glaring at you. And in this case, it kind of has where its eyes would be a light blue glowing energy. That seemingly is scanning and looking back and forth from the two of you, not making any actions, not necessarily looking threatening, but looking a bit immovable.
Hi? Can we pass?
No response.
Yeah.
Rude. I take a step
edge
forward.
into the woods and try to go around.
Okay, so we've got
take
two
a step
two different things going there. Okay, we'll go with Wolf first of trying to kind of walk back and go around. You're trying to walk around behind it. and then like
To
get
see if
into
there's
the
a trail or to get into that, or I'm not sure unless I can get around to see if he'll move.
if he'll move. Okay. All right. Are you trying to do so sneakily or very much show him that you're moving around?
Cautiously?
Cautiously, but not
Slowly?
sneakily.
Yes.
Okay. In that case, I'm not gonna pull a card for you to be able to sneak. You're making your way around. What you notice is standing exactly perfectly still as he was before. You just notice the head just turning, watching you. Definitely keeping those light blue eyes piercingly on you as he turns.
So no antagonism.
I step forward and say, "Hi!" and try and distract him.
No change. It is glaring at Wolf.
Okay. I head towards the hole, but cautiously and not to just test if they'll let me get there. It'll let me get there.
Okay. So it's in front of the hole. How far do you want to get? All the way on the other side? Do you want to just get to the kind of the side of like a 90 degree to the side of it and try to get on the hole? Where do you want to try to get to?
Kind of a 90 degree.
Okay, so just a little bit to the side. As you approach the hole slowly, it steps in front of you. And it does kind of like a quarter step to where one of its large legs gets right into your path, but it's still very much also blocking Grunhilda.
So not proactively attacking us, but
just getting
clearly
in your
this
way.
is not happening. Okay. Suggestions, Grunhilda?
I want to see if I can sing to it and get it to calm. That is one of the things that I do is in my dream weaving is sing and hypnotize. And I know the tones that I can hit to vibrate rock. So I'm going to try and soothe it.
Okay.
I will turn off the wolf light while you do that.
If you turn off the wolf light at this point, it is rather dark at this part, and you're
Okay.
really only seeing two glowing, light blue eyes of the golem in kind of a dark forest with your normal forest sounds.
I just worry the light is irritating it. So I dim the light then, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and sing.
And Grunhilda starts to sing, and probably singing some version of, I don't know, I want to rock. Given that it's a rock golem, that is an ace. And given exactly what you do, you know what to hit. I'm gonna say that because it did that little step to the side, and as you put it to sleep, it kind of crumbles down to its pile of rocks. But because of that quarter turn, it is only partially covering the hole. And so now it is asleep, and seemingly the pile of rocks has moved, and the hole is open. Or I should say a portion of the hole is open.
How big is the hole? Could we both fit in it or just me?
Wolf can absolutely fit it. So you come around, you look at it, Wolf can absolutely fit through in it. Grunhilda, questionable. Might need some magical help to be shrunk a little bit, possibly. Hard to know.
Okay, I go around to the hole, turn on the light down into the hole to see what's there.
It seems like the beginnings of a tunnel. It kind of goes down and further in. It's this bend where you can't see past the bend. You're just seeing the floor of the tunnel that continues further underneath.
Do you have a song that shrinks you?
Though I've never run into that need, Wolf.
Well, I might have something in one of my many, many pockets. We could try it. And it's a little bottle that's supposed to, when you take a sip, shrink you. Just don't drink too much.
Drink me.
Okay, do you drink it?
I do.
Okay.
She said not too
Uh,
much though, but it's kind of tasty.
So
Throw a punch.
we're gonna pull a card to see what kind of an effect it has on you. I'm gonna tell you right now, anything above a 5, it works well because it's pretty easy. You kind of know what you're doing. You're just drinking. It's gonna be right. Under that, let's see what happens. It is an 8. You're good. You successfully drank enough. You drank a good amount. You shrink down basically to the size of Wolf. You're right about to the same. You guys are about the same, unless you want to be like ever so slightly petty in one degree or another, and want to be like 2 inches taller than Wolf. It's up to you.
Well, she's definitely wider.
Probably, yeah. If you're a bit stockier in that regard. But to the point where you'll definitely be able to fit through the hole. So you're now with that. We will say, given this potion specific thing, you know that it lasts for several hours.
Well, should we go for it?
I am a little distracted and dancing around being little because I can jump around and not make big noises.
Yes, but you could have fun being little in a hole.
Yeah, we should go in.
Let's go.
I'm gonna go first though, because I see better in the dark, and I don't want you to light your light up just yet. Can I go first? Can I go first?
You may go first.
Okay.
Okay.
I drop into the
Completely
hole.
easy now for you to get through there. Yep. You go in. You see just the continuation of the tunnel, and then further down it turns. Or potentially splits. You can't tell. You just know that the tunnel continues forward now at a horizontal manner, and somewhere there, it might turn. No light sources in here that you can see right now.
Okay. Well, if I suggest you wait here, I can see that there is a change in the path. I'm gonna go look, and I do.
Okay. I will wait here.
Okay, and so you're still waiting above ground, Wolf. Is that right?
I've stepped into the hole.
Okay, you've stepped into the hole, kind of halfway in, halfway out, sort of a deal. You have a little bit of light around, but you're not lighting the actual tunnel. Okay. All right, Brunhilde, what are you doing? You're going to the end?
I'm gonna go down to the end of that tunnel where it splits and do a perception check.
Okay.
What do I see?
You got a 10. So the tunnel, yes, the tunnel seemingly splits into 2. There are 2 paths. You notice as you're there, because that's relatively good, that one seems a lot drier, and maybe the other you just notice that it's maybe a little bit. There's some moisture that you can pick up in the air coming from the other one. A little bit more of a cooler, maybe even a breeze, which is strange to notice underground here. Yeah, that's what you can tell.
I communicate that back loudly.
Okay, so you're shouting down the tunnel.
Well, I'm just not. I'm small now, so I communicate and maybe a little over communicate because I'm not sure my voice is going to carry. Oh, it splits in 2.
Is there any more you can tell me? Which one should we take?
Well, one's dry and one. I can taste moisture in the air.
Well, I don't want to get my feet wet, but I also don't want to end up in some cave dead end. What do you think?
Well, because I'm still hungry, I kind of want to go towards the water one and see if there's any water to drink down there.
Can I put my light at dim and follow you? Will that bother you?
How about you go in front with the light, but I'll be right behind so that I can be more in the dark.
Okay. So I've come down into there and we get ready to go.
Okay. So you all are just walking. You're going to, this will be the right side, which is definitely a little bit more moisture, a little bit cooler than you would expect. You're walking, you're noticing, especially with the light, that maybe it's almost getting a little bit muddy in certain parts, which is, You're not sure if the water is going to be above you, below you, what necessarily you're walking to. And it actually opens up into a cavern where there are some rocks. You see stalactites that are hanging from the ceiling. A little bit, not incredibly expansive, but definitely could have easily fit Brunhilde if she was to walk around. And you see that there's kind of a shimmering pool of water, and there's some dripping water droplets that are in it. Possibly the opening of a larger cave system, but not quite sure exactly what's going on here. I will say the water, strangely enough, is illuminating this. You're seeing a nice kind of aquamarine glow, almost bioluminescent kind of glow from the water as it's illuminating this cavern, as well as, of course, your staff.
Knowledge check. With my experience in caves and underground subterranean world, do I know anything about this?
What exactly are you trying to find out?
I mean, I guess really, is it safe for me to go drink the water? I'm thirsty. Or do I just suckle on a stalactite?
That is a 9. In your current form, as much as you would love to suckle on a stalactite, you're not tall enough. Though you're used to doing it normally, you're nowhere near tall enough to get up to that point.
Sure.
So you think that most likely this water is fine. You know that relatively, given your lifestyle, you drink plenty of cave water, and potentially maybe even some of this water is even cleaner here, depending on what the water source is. That is your possibly only concern, is that you don't know where it's coming from and pooling here. But the pool itself, as you come and look at it, it looks very clear. It doesn't look as if the water is contaminated in any significant way with any extra sources of algae or anything like that.
I drink the water.
You drink the water. That smell, that taste, of the floral that you had noticed before, 20 times fold. Like it hits all the senses, and you almost start coughing because it's almost like you just chugged perfume.
So I start gagging and coughing, and I go, "Oh my god, do you smell that?"
Do I smell it?
You smell something.
I take a glass bottle out of one of my many pockets in my cape, and I scoop up some of the water and hold it up to examine it and see if it continues to glow once I have put it in the bottle.
It does continue to glow.
Mysteriouser and mysteriouser. I hesitate to drink it, so I wait. And is this pool like in the middle, on the side? You said
it's
there was
sort of on the
possible-
side. Yeah. So like where the cavern is, where you walked out from the tunnel, it's on kind of the left side, and then the rest of it seems to sort of expand further out.
And the possible cave system is where in relation to that?
In front of you, more to the right, like further out there somewhere. And when I say possible cave system, you just see that the cave expands there, and the light is not reaching to the end. So there may be a cave system there. It may be just the end of this specific cave.
First, I look behind at the tunnel, make sure it's still just empty.
Tunnel's empty.
And I start heading towards that darker area with my staff lit.
Okay. With your staff lit, you come over there, and you come up to a wall. It's a rock wall, and it's almost strangely smooth. It's kind of like when they try to make those playground walls out of plastic to make them look like rocks, where you're like, you tried. It's not quite rock, but you tried. So it seems like it's there to look like a stone wall, but from what you know, it doesn't seem like truly stone.
I reach out and touch it to
Feels like
figure out.
stone.
Feels like stone.
Truly though, it does feel like it is made from stone.
And there's nothing else.
There's nothing else.
I've
There's
lit
nothing
everything.
else. Yeah. Would you like to make a general kind of perception check on this wall?
Yes.
All right. With a 7, what I'll tell you is it feels like there should be a little more of the cave. Like this wall is there a little early. And when you kind of look at where the top of the cave comes, it seems like it's almost an abrupt stop and it curves a little unnaturally.
I'm going to feel along the wall to see if it is in fact all solid and not any illusions.
Seems solid.
Okay.
Grunhilde, you want to be doing anything at this point?
Up until then, I was mostly trying to wipe the flour out of my mouth, scraping my tongue on the rocks, but I see that she is out doing something, so I holler out, "What do you notice?"
This wall does not make sense. It is unnatural. So I don't know if something continues above because we saw nothing when we were above.
I forget that I'm small and I run at the wall.
You run at the wall. Something very interesting happens. As Grunhilde runs at the wall, she passes right through where Wolf is looking at the wall. She walks right through the wall. Grunhilde, in your case, you haven't reached the wall. You haven't ran into the wall. You're touching what you perceive to be the wall.
I go and reach and touch the wall where she disappeared.
Solid wall.
I call out to her.
I turn around. And I turn around. What do I see?
You see Wolf just standing there, just like now patting air. Kind of seems weird to you.
Are you there? What do you see? Did you
I
vanish?
call out and tell her yes. And tell her to just come forward. Like, come on.
I can't. It's solid wall.
No, it's not.
Can you come back?
I try and come back.
You walk right out. You just to you it is very strange because it's just literally just open cave space. You're just walking through. Like, what do you mean you can't? This is just space.
What? Where were you?
In the cave. It's just a cave. Just come with me. I grab her hand and I start walking.
And I go with her.
You go with her?
Well, I mean, she's dragging me. I like it's a solid wall. How did you get through?
So Grunhilde, as you pull,
grab her
all of a
and-
sudden you feel that Wolf just gets kind of plastered on the wall or on something, and it's really weird to you. It's like the best mime in Paris, where it just seems like there truly is an invisible box where you just cannot pull Wolf through, just stuck on something.
So I let her go. I go, okay, this is weird. This is not how caves work. And I start to look around from my side. What do I perception check?
All right. Another 10. You just see the cave. You see the cave. You see again the pool of water that is still very much same shimmering, same kind of aquamarine light that you're seeing coming off of it. The cave just looks the same way to you. You do also notice that there might be, as you kind of turn to the right now, so now you're looking at the other. So you're facing directly, you're looking at the tunnel. The pool is kind of to the right. Near you, on this edge further down the wall that you see, Grunhilde, you see there's a passageway continuing a little further.
In looking back at the water, I make a connection and suggest she drinks the water, and if that will help her get through whatever is holding her back.
I take the bottle
It's
and
not good, but you
take
should
a sip
try it.
from it.
All right. How much of it do you drink?
A gulp,
Just a gulp?
and then I wait to see what happens.
Okay. So you drink a gulp. You have just again this all of a sudden floral. It's just like rose petals up to the extreme now. Really just all of your senses. You're just now feeling it. You start coughing as well, and you're coughing and coughing. As you're coughing, you reach your hand out to put onto the wall to brace yourself, and your hand goes completely through. And you look around. You're not standing next to a wall. You're standing in kind of a completely open part of the cave, and you're seeing Brunhilde on the other side standing to a different wall that you hadn't seen there before.
Okay. Nasty, but
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
what do I perceive anything different than her?
In what regard?
Well, I
That
look
depends.
around because
Does
I'm
she
like,
see the
whoa,
tunnel
how much
continues?
bigger is this space? How much
You
bigger
do
is
see,
the
you
cave?
do
with
see the
this?
tunnel. You do now both see kind of a continuation of the wall further in. And it's not as much of a tunnel the way that it was before that you saw. It's more of kind of a slit in the rock where it's
So I
almost
walk
like a
Do you have
over
any
corridor.
that
more of
and
those
shine my
bottles,
light.
Wolf?
For shrinking?
No,
Yeah.
no, just empty bottles. I don't
Oh,
want to
yeah.
leave the pool until we have just a little more. Can we get a little bit more before we go?
Yeah. I pull out
And then
a couple
I
more
think we should
bottles.
go down that way.
We
Okay.
fill a couple more bottles.
Okay, so you got a couple more bottles. You now have, for all intents and purposes, 3 bottles. One is missing a gulp, but you've got a good amount of that water. And
If
so
we
you're
hold
good-
that out, will it light the space at all? Like one of the bottles.
very gently. It's not quite enough.
Okay.
The pool is much bigger, so it's a bigger source of light.
Yeah.
Yeah, those bottles aren't really big.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're not carrying like gallon jugs with you. they're small bottles.
I take one of those little bottles because it's more than enough light for me to hold forward, and I start walking down the pathway.
Okay.
I'll follow.
You're walking. As you walk further and further and further, you come onto a door. Very much a man-made door. Kind of strange to see at the end of all of this. It's interesting because the hallway is kind of crooked. It's because it's a natural rock corridor, and so the door is kind of askew, kind of put in very, very strangely into the rock, completely surrounded by rock. It's got a handle on it, and that's about it.
This is weird. I knock on it.
Leave it.
Nothing happens.
Leave it.
Perception check, checking the edges of it, wiggling, shit. I still think that I'm 14 feet tall, so I'm pushing against it.
7. Seems like a door. It seems like a regular door. It seems like a little bit bigger than normal doors, but that's just because that you've shrunk, and now seems bigger. But that's it.
Does the knob turn? If I turn the knob?
You turn the knob, door opens.
Ah! What do we see on the
I
other
walk
side?
right in, no hesitation.
All right. You walk right in, and you walk into a small room. The room is actually lit. It's got a couple of torches on either side. And at the very end, you see another door. And above the door, there is some sort of a plaque or something.
I try and squint to read it and start reaching in my pockets to find my eye cover.
So you will need to walk all the way up to it to read it. It's a relatively small plaque above it.
Okay, I go forward and read the plaque once I can see again.
Okay. On the plaque, you see that it simply says, as with the beginning, so with the end.
That's not good.
Do you say that to Wolf?
First, I say it really quietly, and then I say it much louder. Yes.
As you
so
say
I say
it,
it loud
the-
enough that he hears.
The door that you walked through slams shut.
Oops.
Can you?
Can
I
Wolf
try to open it
Follow
again.
me.
You try to open it, open the door.
Yes.
Doesn't budge.
I was about to follow you.
Oh, you did. You said you
I
walked
did?
into the room.
Okay, good then.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
did.
Both of you are inside the room.
Okay,
Okay.
but yes, I still
Yeah.
checked the knob. Okay, what else is in this room? Is there a way out?
There's 2 doors. There's 2 torches. That's all that
Okay.
you see.
Then let's see what we can
That's
find
the
out on the other
beginning.
side of the door. The other door, does the other door's knob turn?
You turn the knob. Let's see. I'll have you roll for it with a 4. You turn the knob. Doesn't budge.
You try it. You're stronger even if you're my size.
So I also try and pull and tug on the door. Still nothing.
5. Nothing.
I start running around the room clockwise, repeating the phrase, and then go counterclockwise and repeat the phrase just to see if anything happens.
Okay. How many times do you want to go around the room?
3 each direction.
Okay. Wolf, what would you like to do as you're watching Grunhilde running 3 times in each direction, just repeating the phrase?
I am
Nothing
going to
happens as she does that,
examine-
but you're watching it.
I'm examining the torches.
Kind of your very standard magical torch. Always on. Just normal torch.
I try picking it up.
You pick it up.
Well, none of this seems to be working. Any thoughts, Grunhilde?
At the beginning, so what is the phrase again? At the beginning, so at the end?
Yep. As with the beginning, so with the end.
I think we should drink more of that horrible, awful flower water.
Okay, but just a sip. That stuff is toxic. So I take a sip and I try the doorknob.
What do I?
All right,
Tiny
both of
bit.
you take another
One
sip.
second.
Both of you cough. Maybe you kind of do a little breathe out as if you're about to take a shot. And you just kind of brace yourselves. You try the knob. Nothing.
I sit down in the middle of the room and do a perception check for the caves. Troll vision.
For the what?
For the room. Troll vision for the room.
Troll vision for the room. All right. You got a 6. It is a room. It has got 2 torches in it. It has got 2 doors in it and a plaque.
We are stuck in a
I have
room.
no idea.
I am going to feel along all the walls, check out the sign, physically try to interact with things and see if something isn't what it seems.
Okay. That is a 7. It seems to be what it seems to be.
Well, so did the rocks, which they weren't. Ah. So do we try a larger gulp?
The one thing that I
don't
will
wanna
say
gulp yet.
is, as you're thinking about the plaque, you're also thinking back to how you entered this room, and you're thinking about, as with the beginning, so with the end.
So I tried the door that we came in.
Doesn't budge.
Nah.
I start to sing the verse backwards. So at the ending, or as at the ending, so at the beginning. To see what
You're
happens.
singing.
Nothing. I'm singing.
Try another doorknob.
Sing the song.
And as you're singing and as it keeps on going, you're really thinking back to, you're going, what you're kind of starting to lament, feeling trapped. That you're like, not only am I now smaller, I'm now in this box feeling of a room, and you're starting to think, ugh. Why did I ever even open it? Why did I ever even knock on the door to get into this room? Why did I even go through all of that stuff? As you're remembering these things.
Do we know the wizard's name that we're searching for?
You do not.
Why did we come in here? To find a wizard.
I'm going to pour a little of the liquid on both of the doorknobs and see if that changes anything. Just a little.
It does. It makes the doorknobs wet.
Okay. And glue.
Yeah.
You are welcome to invoke any of your magical means if you decide to do so.
I suggest, Wolf, that we combine skills. So I want you to start telling us the story that we just did, coming through the forest and all the things that we have. Tell me the story, and I'm going to sing to weave around it, so it will reveal what we went through, so we can see where we're supposed to go next.
Okay. So I begin to tell the story of how our day began and how our travels began and the mushrooms and the mysterious creature in the forest, the rock monster, testing the boundaries of everything as we went, that landed us in a gorgeous room with the glowing water, that led to the wall and to the room.
Well, as all of this happens, you're in incredible luck, and you get the unicorn card. The unicorn card allows you to make a wish. Any wish, you can have whatever you want happen. So besides just, yes, whatever you do is successful, the outcome is truly whatever you want it to be, within reason. What would you like to have happen? And since you were both kind of doing a combined thing, you can kind of converse and see what it is that you want to happen as a result.
I want to see how to get multiple steps from where we are now. Steps as in not physical steps, but progression steps. So that we know how to get untrapped and not get trapped again immediately.
My wish would parallel with that she could see from the song the other side of it. But I like having a buddy. So with all that flower, I want that friend of mine that I saw in the forest, who I've decided is my friend, whether they are or not. I want them to come help.
Okay. From all of that, what you suss out and what you understand and what you hear calling back to you from all the singing and strangely kind of the echoing of the room, it almost slightly changes some of that, is you hear knock twice, look both ways, and go into the darkness. Those are the three things that you hear. Knock twice, look both ways, and go into the darkness.
Okay.
Let's try
I
it.
follow instructions. I'll go first. I'm normally bigger. So I
Okay.
go forward. I knock twice. I look both ways.
What do you knock twice on?
I go to the new door
And you knock twice?
and look both ways.
The door swings open.
Yay. I go and
Will
peek
you
through
try
it.
the other door?
The other door?
Is it open?
The first door? You knock, nothing really happens. You try the handle, opens just fine.
I leave that door open.
Okay.
And I go back to where Wolf is in the other room, but I have not yet walked into the other room.
Okay. You're obviously kind of peering because the door swung open and you're looking forward. And what you're seeing is it just opened right into another room. And you're seeing that there might be a couple of tables in the other room, maybe something. It's definitely far more furnished than what this room is. But this is all that you see from where you are, from the doorway.
I step in 2 yards. And
You
continue
step
to
in.
observe.
Yep, you step in. You fully see the whole room. It's got 2 tables there. They're kind of they've got some stuff on them. And what you see also are on opposite walls to their left and right are 2 enormous mirrors.
I walk up to one of the mirrors and touch it and observe it.
You walk up to the mirror and it's a mirror. You're looking at it. Which one are you walking up to?
The right.
The one on the right. You walk up to that mirror. You see the reflection of the room. You're seeing yourself.
What do I observe about the tables?
Let's see. That is a 2. They're tables. They have things on them.
What kind of things?
Just all sorts of. There's some papers. There's like one kind of oil lamp on there. Just some assortment of stuff.
Is there a door anywhere other than the one we came in?
There is no door.
Of course there's not. I double knock on the mirror.
Let's see how hard you knock. That is the king. You nearly bash the mirror to the point where it starts a small little crack at the top corner. Nothing else happens.
I now step into the room and put a chair in the door.
Okay.
Just in case. Don't want door slamming on me again.
Was there
Didn't enjoy
chairs?
That experience.
There are a couple chairs around the tables.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
then I go stand at the opposite mirror and do a perception check.
Okay. What are you doing a perception check on? Are you looking into the mirror, the room?
Yes, and all of the room, the mirror, and how the room reflects in the mirror.
Okay.
And we would. Can I see her in the mirror?
So we're gonna do them one at a time because that's a lot that you're checking out individually.
That was a lot. Lot.
So the first one is the mirror. So you got a jack for the mirror. As you look into the mirror, what you notice is a reflection of the room, but you cannot see Wolf anywhere in the reflection whatsoever. Then let's see if you look. Of course. You got a joker for looking around the rest of the room because there are 2 jokers in this deck. As you look into the rest of the room, what you notice is as soon as you look in to the mirror, you're noticing the various different piles of stuff. You're noticing that there's some interesting, strange kind of artifacts or something on there. Maybe some kind of gearboxes, like a musical box or something. Maybe some kind of an ornate fruit or of some sort. Not quite sure. Just kind of random things that don't make a whole lot of sense to be there. And then as you're going, you look into the other mirror. And as you see the reflection of your mirror, the one you're standing next to, the mirror on the left, in the mirror on the right, you see that reflection is complete darkness.
I shared this information with Wolf.
I go check the other mirror to see what that one shows.
So you go to and look into the mirror on the left to see what it shows.
The one on, which one are you at?
The one I'm at.
G?
Yeah, I'm at left, you're at right.
Brunhilde's the one on the left. Wolf, you were standing on the one on the right.
Yeah, I was at the right.
Mm-hmm.
So I look into the one on the right.
You look
and
into the one
see
on
if
the right.
That one has the same thing.
You see the reflection of the room. It looks pretty normal.
Huh. So I go over and stand with Grunhilde at the left mirror and see if I see what she's seeing.
Yes, you are seeing that as you look at it, you're seeing that the reflection of the other mirror is black.
So I touch the mirror to see if it's solid.
It's solid. It's a mirror. However, what you do also see is that as you're looking at it, you kind of glance to the side and you see that the things on the table, because you were relatively close to that table, that the things in the reflection that are on the table don't look exactly like the things that are on the actual table.
Okay. So I walk over and pick up one of the things that is different in the mirror and observe it to see if it really is what it is in person or if it's what it is in the mirror.
Perfect. You pulled a king on that. You notice pretty easily as you kind of go do a little double take back and forth, that what is on the table, that golden or that ornate thing is actually seemingly a golden apple, pear. You're not quite sure what it is, but some kind of a golden fruit, or at least golden colored fruit. It is metallic to some degrees, and it does not appear in the reflection of the mirror. So you come over and you pick it up. You're able to hold it. It definitely has some heft to it. It is not a hollowed thing. It is definitely a full-on metal sort of some kind of a piece of fruit. You are now holding it. What would you like to do next?
It's metal fruit? Huh.
Yes, maybe not necessarily actual fruit. It's possibly a sculpture or representation of a fruit, but it looks like an apple or a pear, some sort of a thing like that, made out of a golden material.
Thoughts, Brunhilde?
So I watch her walk over and pick up and see that it's not the same as in her what we were looking at versus what's in the mirror, and I encourage you to pick up more things. What else is weird?
So nothing else seems to be weird, but as you do that, remember when you looked before, you didn't see the reflection of Brunhilde in the mirror. You now see a reflection in the left mirror of Brunhilde. So as you look into the left mirror, what you see is that the right mirror is complete and utter darkness, and that Brunhilde appears to be there, but strangely appears to be holding nothing in her hands. Or I'm sorry, Wolf. I misspoke. Wolf,
I was like very
Wolf
confused there.
Sorry, yes.
Wolf.
Wolf is there. You see the reflection of Wolf. Wolf is holding nothing in her hands, which is strange. And the right mirror is complete darkness. Yes.
Okay, so I communicate this. Wolf. Okay, so before I couldn't see you, and now I can see you, and I know you're holding something, but I can't see you holding anything. Put it down again.
I put it down.
The reflection vanishes.
You went away! Pick it back up!
I pick it back up, and I walk over to the mirror and touch the mirror.
Which mirror?
Not with the item, with my hand. The one that has my reflection now.
So the one on the left, the one that Brunhilde is next to. Mirror.
Yes.
Seems like a normal mirror. But you notice that the mirror behind you is utter darkness.
Okay. So I walk over with the item and I touch the other mirror, the right-hand one.
Now, and this is really interesting because as you're looking at it, normal mirror. But as you push your hand through, it seems to go through. And it's not even like whatever, the Matrix or like some kind of a goopy liquid that you go through. It literally just seems like it's just air. Like your hand just goes right through as if there's really nothing there.
Brunhilde, come over, touch the item. Let's see if you can come through too.
I hold on to the apple and Wolf and put my hand on the mirror.
So are you both holding on to the apple?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, both of your hands go through.
So
You
let's
wanna go in?
Yeah. So we go through.
All right. As you step through, you all of a sudden hear a giant thump. You look back and you notice that the apple has fallen out of your hands and is laying on the floor of the room as you have stepped completely through. You see in front of you, as you're looking back at it, you are seeing sort of this outline of the mirror and looking straight into the room. And around you entirely is darkness, except for some amount of light, a small amount of light further into the distance, but everything else is complete darkness.
Grunhilda, warning you, I'm turning on my staff light.
I cover my eyes.
Nothing.
What do I see?
You turn on the lights, and literally the eyes glow, but no other light comes out from it.
Okay.
Perception check on the room with pole sight.
That's a 6. It seems like a vast expanse. It's strange because you're used to kind of the unevenness of being in the cave, the unevenness of those rooms. Here, flat, completely flat. And you're still seeing that kind of a little further into distance. There is that just amount of something. There's just a little bit of light of something, some kind of an orb or something, but everything else is complete and utter darkness. And you're starting to feel strangely pulled to this.
To the light?
To the light. Like that's the only thing that really matters. That you are becoming...
I give in and go to the light.
Okay. Wolf, you notice that Grunhilda kind of just vanishes into the darkness.
But I can see the ground right around me?
No. It is
Oh,
complete
okay.
pitch black. You can't see anything except for the rectangle behind you of the opening into the previous room. And then you can kind of see that that light as well further ahead, that little bit. And you can make out the silhouette of Grunhilda kind of going back and forth as she's walking, passing in front of the light source far ahead there.
I'm going to push my staff along the floor and see if the floor is still there a few feet out.
Floor is completely there and feels very smooth.
Okay. Then I'm going to take it. Well, do we want to go back? Can we go back? Or should we go forward?
Looks like Grunhilda's already
Mark
marching
on.
forward, so it's up to you. Yeah, I don't
Okay,
know.
I am following Grunhilda.
Okay. Both of you come up and you come to the point where you get to that little bit of the light source. And the little bit of light source is this golden apple that is just hanging in the air, exuding this light all around you. It's just floating there.
Can I grab it?
Would you like to?
I'd like to try.
Okay. You try to grab it. You got a 10. You grab it with your hands and immediately vanish.
Oh, not this again.
Wolf! Wolf!
Am I still? Do I see myself still there, or have I actually been transported somewhere?
We will get to that in a second. Grunhilda, what do you do?
I'm
The
yelling
apple
Wolf.
is still there.
Oh, the
Everything is
apple's
there.
still there.
Yeah, all that you saw is you saw Wolf reach out, touch the apple, vanish.
Yeah, I'm yelling her name.
No
Can I
response.
hear her?
Okay. You know, in it to win it, I touched the apple too.
All right, you touch the apple, and you also vanish. Both of you all of a sudden, Wolf, you appear there a little bit, and very shortly after, all of a sudden, Grunhilda does as well. You both appear in chairs. You're sitting in 2 chairs. They seem to be rather comfy chairs in front of a desk. And at the desk is a much kind of a bigger chair, the back of it turned towards you, and you can tell that there's possibly somebody there. You are sitting completely calm, and there is a pot of tea with a couple of poured teacups that is between the 2 of you.
Zero hesitation, grab the cup, drink it. So hungry right now.
There's also a small plate of for lack of a better word, biscuits for you there, and what you're delighted to find also some scones, and to your bewilderment, mushroom flavored scones. Yes, the tea is a little bit hot. You kind of go all in, and it burns you a little bit as you try to get on that. But other than that, very delicious, very normal tea, and you're just eating away, Wolf. Brunhilde's over here scarfing down some food next to you.
I touch her arm, try to get her attention. Can I get her attention?
Can you? Grunhilde, are you just enamored with the food?
I pop up and go, oh yeah, thanks, and keep eating.
So I say hello.
Thanks to the back of the chair.
To who
You
might
hear
be in the chair?
when you say thanks and all that, all you hear a from the other side of the tall chair.
Wolf, you have to be the nice one. I'm hungry.
Yeah. Excuse us. We don't know how we came to be here.
One moment. That's all you hear?
Take your time. I'm eating.
You see around you that there are maybe a couple of bookshelves. There's a bit of a fire. It is definitely a lot drier here as compared to the cave, and definitely a little bit warmer. Kind of feels nice.
I stand up. Can I stand up?
Do you stand up?
I try to, without going around, but just try to see who's in the chair.
Okay, let's see a perception. Oh, you got a queen. It seems to be an older man with a crooked nose, a relatively long beard, long hair. That's all that you can tell. He seems to be with a queen. That's a really good card in that he seems to be kind of scribbling something, and as you kind of you peer at it, you're reading a couple of the lines that he's writing, and you're noticing that it says, "Ran around the room 3 times clockwise and counterclockwise singing," is what he's currently writing on the parchment.
I ask him if he has been watching us or following us.
You don't really get a response where you hear that he's ever so slightly kind of humming to himself, like but he seemingly often thought he's not listening.
I am going to check the time. How long has it been since she drank the bottle of stuff at the beginning of the tunnel?
For your perception, in the way, because I don't know if you necessarily have a clock with you, but for your perception, it's maybe been an hour and a half.
So I'd be sure to check that her height hasn't altered, because if she suddenly gets big, it could be awkward.
From what you were seeing, her face might be getting ever so a little bit wider, but from your perception, it's probably just the amount of scones and tea that she's shoving behind both cheeks and not swallowing quickly enough than the potion wearing off. It seems everything else is fine height-wise.
All right. I cautiously take a sip of tea and take a biscuit and take a nibble to make sure it's okay.
It truly is the most delicious tea you've had. In this case, it is a very aromatic bergamot, and it seems to really wash out that taste of the over just taking rose and floral.
Okay, so I cautiously continue to eat a little.
I finish eating, burp really loud, say thank you again, and start wandering around the room to see what I can see.
All right, let's see what you see around the room. You got an 8. You're seeing all sorts of various books. You also see a portrait. And in the portrait, it seems that there's an older man of some sort and a little girl. And he kind of has very gently his hand on her shoulder, kind of like a familial way. You can tell that this is potentially maybe a niece or a granddaughter or some sort of a relative, most likely. Something about the shape, something about the way that this girl has her hand on her hip seems familiar. Something about, you're not sure, but looks a little familiar.
Catches a memory somewhere. Okay.
Yes, possibly.
I start to match his humming.
All right, we're gonna pull a card for a performance to see how well you're able to do it with him. It is a 6. You're able to do a little bit, but you're kind of you're not harmonizing too well with him as you're also doing it. So you're kind of in that in between where people are going like, yeah, I'm gonna harmonize, but they can't really harmonize, so they try to match pitch, but they're not doing that either. And so like they're kind of going back and forth between the two. He's starting to get a little bit disgruntled and starting to just kind of stop his humming. You hear as he does this final little scribble and that ever so knowing little dot that you hear from a quill or a pen, and he turns around to look at the two of you. He kind of pushes the scroll off to the side, puts his hands together, staring at you, and says, "Ah, so you liked the tea."
Yes, I respond. I turn as he turns because I hear that, and I say, "Yes! Oh my God! Thank you so much." Who are you?
Strangely, immediately looks over to Wolf and, without acknowledging your question, says, "Why the apple? Why did you pick the apple?"
It was closest to where I stood.
It was on the other side of the room. There were plenty of things closer. Why the apple? Then he immediately, almost kind of like in a daydream as a thought, looks at you, Grunhilda, and goes, "Why did you both hold the apple?"
Because we couldn't get through together and we like to travel together.
Grunhilda, anything to add?
She touched the apple and then her hand went through the mirror, and I thought, okay. So I touched the apple and we went through the mirror. There wasn't a lot of thought that went into it.
So you focused on the apple. You chose the apple, and thus the apple chose to bring you here.
Where
I've had
is
so many
here?
choose different things. So many chose the music box. The music box still brought them here, but it's what they focused on. And then, what did you see? What did you see after you went through the mirror?
A dark room with a
Dark
I
room?
saw a light.
apple.
Interesting.
Also, I was kind of hungry. So the apple seemed legit.
Did you eat the apple?
No, it was too hard. I'm small now. My teeth aren't big enough.
With a flourish, he does a flourish, and an apple appears in his hands, and he tosses it to you. A very normal apple, as he tosses it to you.
I
Is
take
this
a giant bite and say thank you.
What? Oh, you bite
I
and say
take a
thank you.
giant bite and say thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's a delicious apple. It is a perfectly ripened apple.
I
You're-
would like to figure out who this guy is. So I ask him
You are
again.
getting the sense that this might be the wizard that you've been looking for, especially after the apple trick, because it very much materialized out of nothing.
So are we just your guinea pigs? And you've been observing us this whole time? What is really going on here?
I could say the same about you. I am your guinea pig. No, you've been looking for me. You've been going through all of this to observe me.
Well, not to observe you, but to find you and to see if you somehow are responsible for the strange things going on in this forest.
Strange is a matter of perspective.
Well, yes.
I'm strange.
And that is your perspective.
Is there problems in this forest that we do need to solve that have affected you, that have affected the life in this area, that has caused these strange smells and life out of things that didn't used to have life in this fashion?
No, I see only focus. You see the room you went into, the mirror that you saw. There's a vast universe there. And yet, because you only held the apple, you only saw the apple. And so, since you only think it's bad, you only see the bad in this forest.
I take another squint at the painting, walk back around with the core of my apple and say, thanks, that was amazing. Can I put this somewhere?
He takes it from you, and with another flourish, you see as it grows into a miniature apple tree that sprouts 5 more apples on it, and he just kind of sends it off to you, and it is floating next to you if you decide that you want to pick off any more apples, but you now have a tiny little floating apple tree.
I clap, I say thank you, and I said, that was really, really helpful. I was really, really hungry. Is there anything I can do to help you?
I wonder, what would happen if you didn't pick the apple? What if you went with nothing?
We
With nothing
tried
where?
nothing.
The mirror. The realm.
No.
We tried and we were not able to get through with
Why?
nothing. I do not know why. Do you? Who built this place?
I did not build the mirrors. I simply observed the mirrors. They have been here far before me.
Then maybe you're not who we're looking for.
At this moment, and there is kind of a door right there, you hear a knock on the door. And interestingly enough, as you hear the knock, Grunhilde, you notice that gentle, gentle smell of the rose and the perfume that you had noticed in the forest.
Come in, friend. It's not my house to invite people, but I do it anyway.
Yes, yes, come in. The door opens, and in steps in the little girl that you saw in the portrait. She's a little
I wave
taken aback by
ecstatically.
you. And then she's
What
also
did you
just a
do?
little bit startled that there is a miniature tree floating in the middle of the air with apples on it. And you see the old man just simply, he looks and he says, "Ah, Rosa, will you show them what I'm trying to tell them?" And she kind of leans out to you, Grunhilde, since you have wished for a friend, and takes your hand and says, "Follow."
I do.
All right. She
I
pulls you
grab
out
an
of the room.
apple on
Huh?
the way. I grab one of the
The
apples
little
on the
tree
way, 'cause it's-
floats after you.
Oh, yay! Thanks. And I
I
follow.
get up and follow them.
All right. You step out to make this a little bit more brief. As you step out into a tunnel. The tunnel is rather dry, reminiscent. As you walk further down it, Rosa is pulling you along. You walk to a split in the tunnels, one seemingly dry, the other seemingly wet. Seems very, very reminiscent. Potentially, this is the other end of the tunnel that you might have chosen initially. You don't know. She takes you back down the other tunnel. You go past the water. And what's very, very interesting is as you're walking, she grabs Wolf your hand as well. And do you allow it?
Yes.
As she grabs your hand when you're walking up to the wall, you see in front of your eyes as the wall disappears. And as she is holding both of your hands, you walk through the wall. She comes up to the door. She knocks on the first door, opens it up, walks across. The door slams. She knocks the second door. It swings wide open, and you walk into the room. As you walk into the room, you walk to the two mirrors, and you stare into them. The golden apple is just still laying on the floor there where it had dropped from where you entered. Strangely enough, as you look into the left mirror, you see the golden apple. It's in there. It is no longer vanished from sight. As the three of you stand in the room, you notice that neither one of you reflects in the mirror, but Rosa does.
I sniff her. She
Okay.
still smells of flowers.
It's a 3. She still smells the flowers and maybe a little bit of just the woods.
I ask
Wolf, you
her.
still got that water?
Yes, I do. I pull out a vial.
I take a drink.
Why do you do that?
She smells like
Rosa's looking
flowers
at
and
you.
she's-
She's very curious. She doesn't understand why you're drinking it.
What?
Because you smell like flowers and it smells like flowers and I can see you in the mirror, so I wanted to see if I could see me in the mirror if I smelled like flowers. So bad though.
Nope, nothing changes.
I ask her, is that man that we met your grandfather or father?
No. But he's taken care of me for years. Many years.
What do you know about these mirrors in this room?
Oh, they've been here. They've been here for as long as I've lived. I don't know. 5, 7, thousands of years?
I go up to the mirror with not us in it, but her, and see what other differences there are between the actual room and the mirror.
You notice that when she ran in, she seems to be just a joyous young girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old, with kind of long, light brown hair. But in this mirror, as you see it, her hair seemingly is strewn with almost stardust, and there's hints of pink and purple within her hair as it radiates through.
Do you know what you are?
Oh yeah, I'm a goddess.
Oh.
Oh,
Who are
Okay.
you? I'm kidding. I
I'm
know.
Brunhilde.
I know. You're the buddies of the golem.
The buddies of the
Rock
golem?
guy.
Rock guy.
You know, what do you know about the golem?
Oh, he's only been there for a couple centuries now. I missed the old one. I felt like he was better.
Say more words.
Why? I just want
Who's
to
the
figure out
other
these
one?
mirrors.
Can
We don't
you
know.
go through the mirror without holding something?
I've never tried. Can you see me in the mirror?
Yes.
But only this one. That one's all black. And it doesn't
I'm
reflect.
afraid of the dark.
Oh. What are you afraid
We
of
will
in the
go
dark?
with you. We just want to know if what makes it so the mirrors are porous and allow something through.
I don't know. I think it's what you focus on. I think there's something about a need of what we see in the world, and that's what we go through with. But that's what all the humans and trolls, and we've had a couple elves go through. They're funny, though not as funny as the gnomes. Those guys are hilarious. But we've never had a god go through. I don't know any other gods.
I take a closer look at everything on the tables and the differences between the mirror and the tables.
Looks identical.
I ask her if she wants to go through with me together so we don't have to be so scared of the dark. And I hold out my hand.
Are you not scared of the dark?
No, especially if I have a buddy with me, then the dark's not so scary when you've got someone with you.
But anything can be in the dark. I don't know what it is. What if I focus on a monster and a monster's in the dark? What if I focus on the end of the entire world? I'm a goddess. I could end the whole thing, but I don't know. What?
Well, then you should definitely not think of fluffy bunnies.
But now all I can do is think about fluffy bunnies. Why not fluffy bunnies? What's wrong with them?
Focus
They're so
on
fluffy,
light.
They're always in the way.
Focus on light as you go into the dark. Focus on hope. Focus on what makes you feel happy. We will both be there with you, and we will both hold your hands, and you can focus on us.
She's doing the little scrunching up face that kids do when they're really trying hard to concentrate. No, okay. She kind of reaches her hands out to the both of you. What do you do?
I take her hand.
Take her hand.
Okay. As you take her hand, you notice that your reflection appears in the mirror.
I ask her if she's ready.
I don't know. Bunnies? No, wait. Hope? Wait, which one? I don't remember. What am I focusing on?
What do you want to focus on?
I just don't want things to be so confusing. Can't it just all be clear? Can it be easier for everyone?
Well, let's focus on that then. Can we focus on simple and easy to see?
But what am I seeing?
We
What do
don't
you
know
wanna
yet.
see?
All right, fair enough. What do you do next?
I take a small step towards the mirror and look to her to see if she's ready.
She kind of does that usual thing of where she's unsure, but she's reaching her hand out to you.
So I said, well, let's give it a try. So I put my hand out to check the mirror if it will
All right.
let us through.
So you touch your hand, you put your hand out to the mirror, and as you reach your hand out to the mirror, all of a sudden it's like a vacuum. It just sucks all three of you straight on in. You feel yourselves flying through the darkness. It's strange. It is not the same sensation that you had before. And as you're going through, and all of a sudden, it almost seems like gravity shifts, that instead of being under you, it is now behind you, as if you're flying up. And all of a sudden you fly into a sky that is full of stars, that is full of, it is almost reminiscent of Rosa's hair. It has a little bit of pink, it has a little bit of purple. It's got all of these stars. and you're feeling like you're not floating, you're gracefully falling down.
I make sure I'm holding tight. Are you guys okay?
Rose is just doing the wonder thing of eyes wide open, just as you look around, something starts to brush your arms, and it's prickly, and you go, and as you look around, you realize that you're floating down into the tops of trees, that these seem like somewhat familiar trees, and you make your way straight down into the arms of an 18-foot tall rock golem. As he gingerly puts you down onto the ground, you look around and you notice that it's seemingly the entire dark woods and the whole dark forest is now illuminated with some of those lights of the kind of the bioluminescent that you saw from the water, some other lights, but it seems that the entirety of it has now come to a strange new life that seems vivid and peaceful. It does not seem necessarily in any way terrible and awful.
So
Rose
we're
is just
standing
looking
on the
around in
ground?
wonder. Apparently, this is the first time she's seen any of this.
I asked Rosa, isn't this wonderful?
Yeah, if I did this, I imagine everything else that I could do. It's just, I just didn't know what to focus on. I didn't know what the mirrors did.
Do you want to do it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Do you rush back down to the mirrors with her? Okay.
Yeah.
Wolf, do you stay here? Do you follow? What would you like to do?
I will follow.
Okay. You all follow. You run on in. As you come to the mirrors, you look into the right one, reflection of the entire room. You look into the left one, and the mirror that you see reflected back is no longer dark. The mirror now looks like an entire sky that is full of stars, that is full of pink and purple. And there are no reflections that you can see of either of the three of you anymore. It seems that the amazing impact that Rosa could have given to that specific world and the specific thing that she focused on, she had done. She had done it in the form of those stars and of that sky and of that vivid reinvigoration of the forest. Potentially, you two have done it with the apples. And maybe there are more golden apples somewhere strewn throughout the forest or elsewhere in the world. But for all intents and purposes, it is no longer complete darkness in the reflection of the second mirror.
I reach out to touch the mirror.
Your hand kind of passes through.
Okay.
I get down to Rosa's level and I say, look what you did. You're amazing.
But why can't you do it? Can you do it? You should try.
Should we try?
We should try.
Why try?
What do you try?
I'm going to focus on clear blue skies covered in clouds and rain that tastes like licorice.
All right. You envision all of this, and what do? Do you just run through the other mirror?
Yep, I'm just in. I just go in.
All right. You got a 3. You run straight into the mirror. You don't collide with the mirror because, like I said, when Wolf tried to touch that other mirror, there is, you perfectly pass right through it because you've looked at the reflection before, and you just run out and you look up to the side and you're right next to the rock golem. And he kind of looks at you kind of strange, like, You just went into the hole. You came out on the other side. He's confused on what you're doing. Nothing else has changed. Everything else just kind of looks the same. When you turn around, by the way, you do not see the mirror or anything else behind you. You're just now at the forest. Wolf, you
Do I see her in the forest?
Nope, she's gone.
Okay. I asked the little girl if she would hold my hand. I said, well, let's see if we can go find her.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
I
you
take
walk
her
through?
hand and we walk through.
You walk through and you appear right next, besides Grunhilda and the rock golem. It seems that what you have now done has basically created almost just a portal from that specific side into this now amazing, lush world. That this is a reflection of the real thing. It doesn't mean that the real thing wasn't necessarily there, but now you're able to see it that much more. Just depending on what it is that you focus on. With that, Rosa takes both of your hands and very easily prances along the path that you all came into the woods. You take a little stop at the mushrooms. You notice that they now have some of the little mushrooms that are moving around, little baby mushrooms. They also have some little iridescent lights on them and everything. They're having a little mushroom rave as they're hanging out there. As this happens, they have a little freak out moment as they're looking over at Grunhilda and they see as she starts to get an inch, a foot, 2, 3, 6 feet taller than she was as the potion is wearing off and she's growing in front of them. But Rosa kind of quiets everybody down and knows that it is perfectly okay. And she leads you out to the beginning of where you started. And as you look, you realize that with what you have now done, with opening up of this specific thing, you've basically unlocked this part of clarity for viewing this world and this forest and this part of it in a completely different way, in a completely different light. That the darkness of the forest, even though now it is light, has now lit up so much more because instead of using clarity to focus on just one thing of the apple, you were able to focus on so many more things that were encompassed by it, like hope. And helping a multi-thousand-year-old goddess get over their fear of darkness. And
Is there still an apple tree floating next to her head?
There is still. The apple tree has continuously followed you for all intents and purposes. And Rosa kind of touches it and a couple of extra little stars appear around it. But for all intents and purposes, you now have a forever floating tiny miniature apple tree that will regenerate apples as much as you want to have them. Except now that you're big, the apples seem a little small for you, but they're a nice little, snack that you can just pop into your mouth.
Little cherry.
And with that, Rosa bids you adieu and dances her way back into the forest. Which, if there's nothing else that the two of you would like to do, is where we will be ending for tonight. Is there any last minute thing?
Thanks to her and for sharing her amazing world with us.
You just hear her, you hear her sort of singing in the background, almost like a humming that is very, very reminiscent of the humming that you heard from the old man.
I try and sing along again.
With an 8, I will say that you do a much better job this time, and if nothing else, in any parts that you falter, you hear her, and it's interesting just how much her voice carries. You hear her ever so slightly correct to match you instead, and so you create a marvelous harmony. And on that, we will conclude all of this. So thank you two for joining.
That was so much fun.
I hope that you had all sorts of fun with that craziness. And on that, I will bid adieu to our audience. Cheers, everyone. Go have some fun and creativity.